But in here, this is what's referred to as the embed code. If anybody says to you, what's the embed code? Where is it? Well, it's this configuration of letters that goes behind the scenes on your website. Nobody sees it, but that's what brings in the video when you go to a website. You can make it auto start, you can loop it, you can do other things with it. The SSL is what's referred to as a secure socket layer. It's nothing you have to be concerned about right now. It's something that is already part of this process. You can share it to these other sites, Pinterest, WordPress, Tumblr, Blogger, Vimeo. You don't know what they are, you don't have to know what they are, but recognize there are millions of people utilizing these things. I'm able to take the videos that I've been doing and put them on something that I'm starting, I call it Daytona Internet TV. I realized I'm doing festivals and I'm doing musicians and I'm doing a bunch of things. Well, I've got some programming. Well, I can program that and create something a little different. So you can do almost anything that you'd really like to do with this stuff. This is, that was me, by the way. This is an example of what's there in terms of how it's displayed. These were images of cathedrals that I found in a Huffington Post presentation. And they are able to, they're sharing these images out there in a flat platform. I'm able to make a video out of that. And they get credit, they're recognized. You can utilize items if you give proper attribution. You can't say, I did this, it's mine, you can't sell it. But if you are utilizing the internet, it's public information. You're able to go out there, you can't copy and say, you can't, my wife is very concerned about how images are taken and what's that. That's why royalty-free is so important. You can get royalty-free images. You can't just go out on Google search and search for images and make it work like that, because your chances are good you're going to have some problems down the line. Put in the presentation, there's going to be some links at the end that you'll be able to take a look at and see how, if you want, when it's sent to you. This particular one, which is just the text in the display, is going to be one that's available. The rest of what I'm doing here, if it's good enough, we're certainly going to make that available as well. Before I take a couple of minute break, I really wanted to just recognize and try to make it as simple as I possibly can. 5 years ago, I couldn't have done any of what I'm talking about now. This has changed because the technology is changing. I have a camera here that is able to record, that's able to provide images that 5 years ago would have cost a couple $1,000. Most of us have a cell phone, so you're able to take pictures with the cell phone. You're sharing from different events. One of the things I'm trying to encourage, I'm involved this year with the Christmas Boat Parade for Daytona Beach. The Halifax River Yacht Club organizes that. Well, there's some beautiful boats. They get decorated. There's people who stand along the shoreline. Well, if we can harness some of that activity and maybe run a contest, we're able to take, people submit pictures and the winner gets exposure or whatever. The bottom line to it is that almost everybody is out there taking pictures and doing something with it. Now, I'm going to take a couple minute break. I want to, if you want to go to the restroom, or, okay, before we do that, a question. Yes?
After you hit the produce button, can you go back and re-edit?
Oh yeah, yeah. Once you get into it, and when I'll show you explain that once I get into my live account. There's an area that keeps all of them. And so you can go back in, and periodically I'll go back and re-edit something I've done months ago. Okay. So you can go back in and do it any given time. Every time you do it again, it gets a different ID number, which means essentially it's a different video. Same content, but the more, the merrier. I mean, the bottom line to all of this is frequency and quantity. You don't want to put out something that really isn't good, but but you're better off putting out something that represents you, as long as you're not embarrassed by it. It's better to have something out there. You know, you'll get better each time you do it. I tell you right now, I did 100 before I paid them $5. I did 131 second ones. And I realized that each time I would get a little bit better. I realized how to edit a little bit tighter, and it really helped. You don't have to do more than a few before you're going to say, well, I'd like to have a minute and a half. I like 90 seconds now. I think 90 seconds is a good time to get a message across, a little bit of music at the beginning, a little bit of music at the end, a message in the middle. But I've got a lot more lengthier ones than that. So let's take 5 minutes. If you wanted to do the restroom, you want to just stand up for a couple minutes, I'm going to make sure I got a connection here, and we'll come back in and do this. If you got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them right now.